What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so you may recall this past February Super Bowl, I think it was 59, I think it was, Super Bowl 59. During the halftime show, we had Kendrick Lamar, who performed his, I guess, signature song now. And, of course, that song, Not Like Us, it's aimed at his rival, Drake. And during the halftime show, Serena Williams performed, and she did the crip walk while he was performing the song. And of course, a long time ago, well, quite a while ago, Serena Williams dated Drake, and that was supposedly the connection. That it was sort of the whole performance was seen as basically a collective diss toward Drake. By the way, that performance by Kendrick Lamar is the most watched Super Bowl halftime show ever, as far as cumulative numbers. Like 133 million people watched, and it was quite a fiasco for Drake, at least. There were some people who felt that Serena Williams was being disrespectful to her husband, right? And by that I mean, some people felt like, well, if she's happily married, then why agree to do this stunt to, I guess, embarrass Drake or to, make Drake look bad if you're not even, if you're married, why are you even thinking about Drake? That was Stephen A. Smith's take on it. Okay. And he was basically like, if she was my husband, like if she was my wife, she wouldn't be my wife after pulling that stunt. Right. So he said that, I think it was on First Take or something, several months ago. Not too long ago, Serena Williams' husband appeared on First Take, I think it was, and Stephen A. Smith was there, but not physically there. I think he was there, like on monitor by satellite, and he addressed Stephen A. Smith's criticisms of his wife live, and as usual, especially when someone of Serena Williams' husband's persuasion, Smith didn't want any smoke. He was real humble and meek and didn't really want to, bust a grape when it come to him. His energy was totally different than, say, with somebody like a Kyrie Irving or LeBron James or anybody that was, let's say, black. And that's been something that I've talked about time and time again. Give you a good example, going back to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's stance on the jab upset Stephen A. Smith, right? But yet Aaron Rodgers had a similar stance, and for some reason, even though Aaron Rodgers is not a doctor or a scientist, right? Stephen A. Smith was very understanding of A-Rod's position. So he's entitled to his opinion. But yet somehow Kyrie Irving is entitled to his opinion. According to Stephen A. Smith, Jaylen Brown is offensive because he's just too smart for a black man. I mean, it's just stupid, cool shit like this that really draws a lot of people's ire when it comes to Stephen A. Smith. And Steven Jackson, former NBA player Steven Jackson, had something to say about this.
Bro. You get loud and all in your feelings about Braun. When Braun, he talking to a black billionaire, but when you talking to a white billionaire, you humble. And you come back on your show talking real respectful, mild manner, man. Hey, bro, listen, bro. And you dogging the black women. Let's stay out of politics and stick to talking about sports you never played. All right? Just stick to doing that, bro. We not going to vote for you if you talk. I heard you talking about running. You don't do that, bro. We not going to vote for you. No. We're not. But check this out, bro. Stop, bro. Okay, you do not have the same energy for other people, but you got a lot of energy for Braun and black women and everybody else. Well, stop it.
And as usual, when he's safe in the confines of his own podcast, all of a sudden now, Stephen A. Smith is huffing and puffing, talking about what he coulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda done and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? You know how he does. When LeBron James was in his face, Stephen A. Smith had his head down looking all scared and confused and wishing he was anywhere but where he was at. But then later on, believe me, if LeBron had swung on me, it would have been fur flying in that place. It would have been fur flying and fisticuffs. Yeah, whatever.
Glad that it didn't escalate or anything like that. He is her husband. He loves her dearly. They have two wonderful children together. And I have absolutely no issue with him whatsoever wanting to address that situation with me because that's her husband. And I certainly meant no disrespect towards him at all. I was just saying that men, knowing us as men, you know, if we're married and our wife is showing energy towards anybody else, even in a negative way, we're asking ourselves, if you're happy, why show that energy? You know, that's it. But that's all it was. But I wasn't going to get into it on national television. I'm a professional. Now, if it had escalated and he wanted to get into it more, we'd kept the cameras rolling. I'd have said fine. But he was sitting there saying, you wasn't married, right? So, you know, you give him marital advice. That's how he framed it. And he says, I give advice about building companies because that's what I do, essentially implying that I'm not married, so who am I to say something like that? I'm saying paraphrasing. I think that's a fair comment on his part. I don't have to agree with it, but I took no offense to it, you know. And if I had been in studio and that was something that he wanted to broach, I would have reiterated what I said, maybe in a more respectable manner than my initial reaction after Super Bowl Sunday when I was just having fun. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that I respect him. That's her husband. That's his wife. And evidently, he didn't like what I said. I respect it, and I wish him and his wonderful wife, who I think is the GOAT, greatest female tennis player of all time.
I'm not trying that shit. He flexed on your monkey ass. You know, he told you was, essentially, I give advice to billionaires. And, you know what I'm saying, I'm married. You talk shit about sports that you never played and stay in your lane. You're not married. What you know about marriage? You know? Now, look, me personally, I look at the situation like this with Serena Williams. She's from Compton. That was the connection, the main connection. She's from Compton. Kendrick Lamar asked her to be on there, right? It wasn't like she just volunteered. She was asked. She was invited. She participated. Even though she is a sports icon and an athlete, in essence, Serena Williams is also an entertainer. Not in the sense that we tend to think entertainers as musicians or singers, but she plays sports to entertain people. So look, that's how I look at that. Yes, she did date Drake at one point in time. That's 15 years ago. I'm pretty sure she also got paid to be at the Super Bowl too. And that's the difference between a successful Fortune 500 company or Fortune 500 couple and some of the messy shit we see on social media. Because people be in their feelings about too much. I'm pretty sure her husband is secure. And all the other dudes that she was in relationships with, none of them wanted to put a ring on it. None of them wanted to marry her. And let me say something else too. Let me get this out the way. Because I'm just tired of the hypocrisy of some of these so-called black power dudes, man. I don't call myself black power. I call myself pro-black, right? But you know what I'm talking about when I say pro these black power motherfuckers. A lot of these dudes they always, somebody like a Serena Williams, they'll call her a BW, right? I'm not gonna say what that stands for on YouTube, but they'll call her a BW, right? But these same dudes will go out their way to cap for Caitlin Clark. These same dudes who are supposed to be so pro-black will go out their way, even though throughout the history of this country, I'm not talking about like necessarily like, I'm not saying this to bring down any particular group of women and prop up another group, you know, all by, you know, like I'm talking about everybody, but I'm just saying historically, when you look at many of the atrocities that have occurred in our communities over the past 100, 150, 200 years, oftentimes it was done by the wickedness of a white woman, right? But these so-called pro-black dudes will be the main ones propping them chicks up all the time, all day, every day, at the expense of crapping on sisters. I get it. I understand all the things that are going on today. I get it. But not every sister is your ex-girlfriend who screwed you over. It just boggles my mind the way these dudes hate black women, bro. I'm not, it's to the point where I sometimes have to question some of these dudes' preferences, because there's no way. There's no way, bro. Like I said, some of these dudes look like us, but they're really WS's dipped in chocolate. A lot of these dudes are WS's dipped in caramel, man. It really is. It's that bad. They mixed up, bro. A lot of these dudes are totally mixed up. I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but it's just some things just get on my nerves. Like Travis, what's his name? The football player now, Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, I think Sunday, right before the game with his team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? He got baptized, right? That's good for him. You know, I don't necessarily believe in a lot of these things anymore, but if that gives him peace in his life, fine. All these dudes now all of a sudden shitting on him, right? Yeah, some of these same dudes is shitting on him for believing in a false religion. Big time Trump supporters. And what do Trump supporters call themselves? White Christians or Christian nationalists. But you got a problem voting for him, right? But you'll shit on this dude for calling himself a Christian. Saying, oh, you believe in a white God. Even though you voted for Trump. But at the same time, you hypocrites, you'll say that Jesus was black. You just frame things. So what it really is you dudes, y'all miserable, and y'all look for things, y'all gravitate to things to hate on other black people about, because that's where the source of your pleasure comes. You're self-hating, so therefore it gives you pleasure because of your own self-loathing to push that hatred toward others. And I figured that out about 10 years ago. I'm sorry, I had to go on a little rant there, man. But anyway, that's all I had to say about it, man. Tell me what you guys think.